Fans shocked. Tan Songyun spotted crying outside a psychiatric facility. It was supposed to be a quiet morning. No red carpet. No camera flashes. No agency press release. Just a misty grey dawn in the hills just outside Beijing. A nurse on her break walked out with her coffee and paused by the fence. She looked once. Then again. And her hands started to shake. Because sitting alone on a cracked stone bench outside the gate of the Qingyu Psychiatric Wellness Center was a woman, her shoulders hunched forward, face buried in her palms, crying. And it was Tan Songyun. Yes. Her. No sunglasses. No makeup. Hair tied in a loose, uneven ponytail. Slippers on her feet. One sleeve of her sweater soaked from tears or rain or both. And next to her, an envelope. Sealed. Crumpled at the edges. She kept touching it like she was deciding whether to open it or burn it. The nurse stared in silence. Then turned around. And walked straight back inside. The news didn't break through social media. Not at first. It was too raw. Too real. And for a moment, it felt like maybe, just maybe, no one would leak it. But one staff member, trembling from the encounter, sent a message to a friend. That friend worked in entertainment PR. That PR person screenshot it, just to share it internally. And 20 minutes later, the internet was on fire. Tan Songyun crying outside mental health facility, what's happening? Spotted alone, disheveled, and silent, fans worried for Songyun's health. Where is Shu Kai? Why did he let her go alone? Those were the first waves. But what came next was worse. Because people remembered everything. The hospital collapse. The secret pregnancy. The child born in silence. Their sudden retreat from fame. The quiet countryside disappearance. The whispered rumors that maybe, just maybe, she was still hurting. And now, here she was. Alone. Crying. Outside a psychiatric clinic with no entourage, no security, no one but herself and a single envelope. Inside the building, she hadn't even checked in. A receptionist later told a journalist, off the record, that Tan had walked in slowly, head low, eyes red but dry. She'd asked one question. Just one. If someone doesn't feel anything anymore, does that mean it's over? And then she'd walked back outside. Shu Kai wasn't with her. That hurt fans more than anything. Because in every part of their story, he had been there. In the ambulance. At her bedside. Carrying her bag through the hospital hallways. Whispering to their child while she slept. Promising to leave the fame behind to build her a life of peace. So where was he now? Theories spread like wildfire. They fought. She left him. His back to work. He couldn't handle the pressure. She's suffering postpartum depression. She's remembering the first baby they lost. The baby's sick. There was another miscarriage. No one knew the truth. Not yet. But the images kept coming. One fan happened to be nearby and captured the shot. A blurry photo from a distance. Tan Songyun, sitting curled up, arms wrapped around her knees, staring at the sky with the kind of emptiness no role could fake. Her phone lay by her side. Face down. Screen cracked. And she wasn't touching it. Back in the city, her old management team scrambled to respond. But they had no answers. They hadn't spoken to her in months. Not since she and Shu Kai signed official separation papers from their agencies and walked out of the industry together. There were no assistants. No stylists. No protection. She was alone. Later that evening, a man was seen arriving at the facility in a dark hoodie and mask. Security cam footage captured a quick glimpse as he stepped out of a black car and ran past the gate with his head down. It was Shu Kai. He didn't bring flowers. He didn't bring cameras. He didn't bring a statement. He brought a jacket. Her jacket. The one she left hanging by the front door 3 days ago, when she walked out without a word, saying she needed fresh air. And didn't come back. Eyewitnesses say he walked straight to her, knelt in front of her, took her hands and placed them in his. She didn't look at him at first. He spoke. No one heard what he said. But she nodded. Just once. Then broke into sobs so violent her whole body trembled. And he held her. Right there. On the bench outside the psychiatric facility, as the sun began to rise behind them. He held her. One bystander managed to capture part of the moment on video. A 10-second clip. No zoom. No drama. Just her crying, his head pressed gently against hers, one hand around her back, the other gripping her fingers like he was afraid she'd slip away. The video hit 15 million views in 3 hours. People didn't react with gossip. They reacted with grief. And empathy. I don't care if they never come back to fame. I just want them to survive this. This is real love. Not perfect. Not filtered. Just real. My heart is breaking watching her. I hope she knows how loved she is. Mental health matters. Even for stars. Especially for mothers. And beneath those comments, someone wrote, "What if she's finally breaking because she held it together for too long?" That question echoed. Because people remembered what she'd been through. They remembered the early rumors of a miscarriage. They remembered the ambulance. The hospital window where fans left prayers. The manager's voice shaking in that voice memo that leaked, "She's not responding. Please. Just pray." The baby born in silence. The press silence that followed. They remembered how Shu Kai left everything for her. And how she smiled beside him on the farm. How they promised a peaceful life. How everything looked okay. Until now. The truth came out slowly. A staff member from the clinic eventually spoke off record to a reporter from one of the gentler magazines. She wasn't there to check in, they said. She wasn't in crisis. She was scared. She just needed someone to say she wasn't broken. Then came the letter. The envelope. It was a letter she had written to her unborn baby. The first one. The one she lost. And the nurse said Tan had left it at the gate. Folded. Taped shut. Inside, the first line read, "I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough." She never expected anyone to find it. She thought she could leave it and walk away. But she couldn't walk away from herself. And that's why she sat down on the bench. And cried. Later that night, Shu Kai posted one sentence on his private account. No photos. No explanation. Just words. "I'll sit with you in the dark. Always." Fans wept. Even those who never believed in them. Even those who accused them of dramatizing pain. Because in that moment, the performance was over. It was just two people, holding each other together, one broken breath at a time. The next morning, they left the facility hand in hand. No reporters stopped them. No guards held them. They walked slowly. She wore the jacket he brought. He carried the envelope. And the world, for once, just watched. Quietly. Respectfully. They didn't give an interview. They didn't release a statement. But hours later, on a shared page that had been inactive for months, a photo appeared. A photo of two hands. And a third, smaller one, resting in the middle. Her hand. His hand. And the baby's. With a caption that read, "Still here. Still fighting. Still love." The day began with fog. Not the kind that sits lightly on the road, but the kind that swallows everything. Buildings, signs, shapes gone. Even sound seemed muffled, like the city was holding its breath. Nurses at the Songyun Psychiatric Wellness Center said it felt too quiet, like something sacred or something broken was moving through the air. By 7:14 a.m., she had been sitting there for almost 40 minutes. Alone. Tan Songyun. The same girl who had once lit up stages, who smiled through press conferences even when her voice cracked, who held Shu Kai's hand through red carpet storms and hospital hallways and life-altering decisions. But this morning, she looked nothing like a star. She looked like a ghost. She was wearing the same grey hoodie from 3 weeks ago. Fans had last seen it in a rare, blurry photo of her carrying a baby in a sling across a sunflower field. But today, it hung loose, almost shapeless on her body. Her hands were wrapped around a paper cup of tea she never drank. Her hair was pulled into a knot so messy it looked like it had been twisted in the dark. She wasn't just crying. She was trembling. And she didn't even notice the nurse who stood frozen 10 meters away, staring with wide, frightened eyes. No one had expected this. No press alert. No manager statement. No photo op. No warning. Just Tan Songyun, crying, whispering into her sleeve, eyes glazed over like she wasn't really there. The internet didn't find out right away. For nearly 2 hours, she remained invisible. Until a hospital intern posted a cryptic message to a private chat room. She's outside. She's not okay. Should I call someone? That message leaked. A screenshot hit Twitter. Then Weibo. Then Instagram. Then everything else caught fire. And 15 minutes later, a blurred photo surfaced. One taken from the upper-level window of a janitor's closet. In the image, a bench. Her hunched figure. A paper envelope in her lap. Head down. Shoulders shaking. And a single, heartbreaking detail that wrecked everyone. She was mouthing something. Over. And over. And over. Fans enhanced the image, trying to read her lips. And what they saw sent an emotional earthquake across social media. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to survive without you. It was like the world cracked open. People who had followed her story, every part of it, from the accident, to the ICU, to the whispered trauma of her first pregnancy loss, couldn't breathe. Was she talking to the child she never got to meet? Was she blaming herself for living when they didn't? Had she been carrying guilt in silence for all this time? No one had answers. But everyone had tears. Shu Kai didn't speak. For 5 hours, fans waited for a single post. A comment. A sighting. A statement. Nothing came. The last time they'd seen him was weeks ago, smiling at a farmer's market, holding their daughter in one arm, choosing apples with the other. He had looked tired. But happy. But now, she was alone. And so was he. It wasn't until 3:39 p.m. that he arrived. Security footage later showed him stepping out of a car, no security, no assistant, hoodie pulled up, face pale, and running, toward the front of the clinic. But by the time he got there, she had already moved. They found her in the back garden. She wasn't crying anymore. She was just staring at a white flower blooming in the dirt. One someone had likely dropped from a patient bouquet. She was holding the envelope now, folded into her lap like it had weight. Like it hurt to touch. Like it held something she wasn't ready to open. Shu Kai knelt in front of her. Slowly. He didn't speak at first. He just reached out and touched her foot, gently, like you would a wild animal afraid to be tamed. And only then did she look up. And whisper. I didn't mean to make it without her. What happened next shattered everyone. A staff member inside the clinic, watching from behind the window, recorded the next few seconds on silent video. In the footage, Shu Kai drops his head into her lap. He doesn't cry. He just folds. Collapses into her. As if hearing those words tore something open inside him. She presses her hand into his hair, whispers something back, barely audible, but her lips move. And someone who knows her, someone who used to do her makeup during her studio years, said the words were clear. Then take me home. They stayed there like that for nearly 30 minutes. Not speaking. Not explaining. Just breathing. Two people who had already buried too much. And were somehow still here. That envelope. It was a letter. One she had written months ago but never delivered. Addressed to her first child.